Which organ produces sperm in males? Testes produce sperm and secrete testosterone. What is the primary female reproductive organ? Ovaries are the ones that produce eggs. Which hormone is mainly responsible for male characteristics? Testosterone develops male secondary sexual traits. Which organ receives the fertilized egg? The fertilized egg implants in the uterus. What carries sperm from the testes to the urethra? The vas deferens transports sperm from the epididymis to the urethra. What protects the testes and keeps them cool? Scrotum maintains a temperature slightly lower than body temperature for sperm production. Which structure stores mature sperm? Sperm mature and are stored in the epididymis before ejaculation. Which structure forms the birth canal? Vagina serves as the passage for childbirth. Which layer of the uterus is shed during menstruation? Endometrial lining thickens for implantation and sheds if fertilization doesn't occur. What is the average length of a menstrual cycle? The menstrual cycle averages 28 days. How many eggs are typically released per menstrual cycle? Normally, one mature egg is released per cycle during ovulation. Where does fertilization typically occur? Fertilization usually happens in the upper part of the fallopian tube. How many chromosomes are in a human gamete? Gametes are haploid cells containing 23 chromosomes. Which cell division occurs during gamete formation? Meiosis halves the chromosome number to form haploid gametes. The first cell formed after fertilization is the zygote is the diploid cell formed when sperm and egg nuclei fuse. Which part of the sperm helps it penetrate the egg? Acrosome contains enzymes that digest the egg's protective layers during fertilization. Sperm production takes place in the Seminiferous tubules in the testes are the sites of sperm formation. Which part of the sperm contains mitochondria? The middle piece provides energy for sperm movement using mitochondria. Which hormone prepares the uterus lining for implantation? Progesterone thickens and maintains the endometrium for possible pregnancy. Which hormone peaks during the follicular phase of the menstrual cycle? Estrogen levels rise in the follicular phase. Which hormone triggers milk production? Prolactin stimulates milk synthesis in mammary glands. Which hormone causes uterine contractions during childbirth? Oxytocin is the hormone that causes uterine contractions. Which hormone directly stimulates testosterone secretion? Luteinizing hormone acts on Leydig cells in testes to produce testosterone. Which hormone inhibits follicular stimulating hormone secretion in males? Inhibin suppresses follicular stimulating hormone to regulate sperm production. A major constituent of contraceptive pills is most contraceptive pills contain progesterone. When does ovulation typically occur in a 28-day cycle? Ovulation occurs around the 14th day, triggered by a surge in luteinizing hormone. Which hormone causes menstruation when its level falls? A drop in progesterone causes the uterine lining to shed. The implantation of the embryo normally occurs in the embryo implants in the endometrial lining of the uterus. Which structure helps nourish the embryo early on? The placenta provides nutrients and removes wastes. In males, meiosis begins at sperm production starts at puberty. The polar bodies are formed during polar bodies form during oogenesis as byproducts of unequal cytoplasmic divisions. Spermatogenesis is inhibited by damage to seminiferous tubules are the actual site of sperm formation. Which hormone peaks just before ovulation? A sharp rise in luteinizing hormones triggers ovulation. Which part of the sperm enters the ovum during fertilization? The sperm head, containing the nucleus, fuses with the ovum nucleus. Which structure stores sperm temporarily before ejaculation? Sperms remain in the epididymis until ejaculation. Which phase of the menstrual cycle is dominated by progesterone? After ovulation, progesterone from the corpus luteum prepares the uterus. During spermatogenesis, haploid cells first appear at the stage of meiosis I produces haploid secondary spermatocytes. Which cells in the seminiferous tubules nourish developing sperm? Sertoli cells support and nourish sperm cells during development. The acrosome of a sperm is derived from which organelle? The acrosome originates from the Golgi body. Capacitation of sperm occurs in the sperm undergo biochemical changes in the female tract. The secondary oocyte completes meiosis II. Meiosis II finishes when sperm penetrates the oocyte. Which of the following glands contributes fructose to semen? Seminal vesicles secrete fructose, which nourishes sperm. The morula stage contains approximately The morula is a 16-cell stage embryo. Which event restores the diploid number of chromosomes in humans? Fertilization restores the diploid number by fusing haploid sperm and egg nuclei. Amniocentesis is usually performed during which weeks of gestation? Amniocentesis is done between the 16th and 18th weeks. Which structure captures the egg released from the ovary? The infundibulum has fimbriae that catch the released ovum. The primary oocyte is surrounded by which structure? The primary oocyte is surrounded by the zona pellucida. The time between ovulation and the onset of menstruation is usually the luteal phase is about 14 days long. In which stage of spermatogenesis does meiosis I occur? Primary spermatocytes undergo meiosis I to form secondary spermatocytes. Which hormone is not secreted by the placenta? Follicle-stimulating hormone is secreted by the anterior pituitary, not by the placenta. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want more quizzes like these. Bye-bye.